sure everything's perfectly balanced, at least close enough. Just picture like a marble that would sit here and the marble rolls this way, then that means the boat's leaning the opposite, right? Same when the marble goes up, and that means the bow is down, the marble rolls back, the bow is up. This is the old switch for LENCO. It's just pretty basic up or down on the port and starboard trim tabs. So going to the switch. It's pretty simple. You basically have power goes to the switch to operate the tabs, and you have your port and starboard tabs. We know the starboard and the port because it's black and green, and a white and green cable, and then the port one is a white and black, or white and red, and a black and red. And then you have one extra wire, which is to the ignition, so it knows when the boat's turned on, when the boat's turned off, so it can put the tabs all the way up. And then the other instrumentation for where it wasn't used.
So that's the old one.
That's the old one, and there's the new one. So the new one has sensors and stuff in it to know what the balance of the boat is, both port and starboard roll, and then pitch forward and aft. So what we had to add was this control unit right here, and it has to be positioned just like it is. It's got to be vertical. The connector's got to be on the aft. There's a little bit of margin of error for it, but it basically needs to be in line with the boat.
You see it says bow and stern right there.
Right, and that's because there's accelerometers, gyroscopes, and stuff in this thing, so that it'll feel which way the boat's going, you know, on rolling either like I said, pitch or roll. Right, and then the cables come off, and all these cables, it's effectively a pair of cables goes to the port tab, a pair of cables goes to the starboard tab. There's a set of cables that run to the switch, and there's another set of cables that run up into the NEMA 2000 bus behind the dash that we installed. So
and the nice thing they made about the Ranger is you can take that off right there.
Yeah, you can pull these switch panels, 4 screws that come out, quick disconnect, and you can get your hand down there.
You can pop the Garmin out.
Yep, the Garmin comes off, you pop the top of these off, there's two screws, top and bottom, and then disconnect on the panel, and the whole thing comes out.
Yep. And in case you're wondering, this is where the helm seat, see if you can look, and there's the seat.
So now we'll put the seat all back together and then take the boat out and perform the calibration on the unit.
So we are headed out to test the LENCO AUTOGLIDE that Martin just installed, or calibrated, I guess. Do you want me to just stay here?
Yeah. I know she's going to want to go to the corner. Alright, so we got the AUTOGLIDE calibrated. Once you get it installed, there's a setup routine you have to do, which is you have to tell it what your roll is, your balance, port, and starboard, so it knows what level looks like. So you get out to some calm water, you move people around to where the boat's balanced, and then you hit the button, and it says, okay, I remember that. Then it goes to pitch, which is turned half, right, for bow rise. And then for that, you have to get on the boat on a straight line and run it all the way up to normal cruising speed, bring the trim up to get the bow as high up as it'll go without the boat porpoising, and bring it just below that point so the bow is high up as it can be. And then you hit the auto button again for it to do the pitch calibration. And this takes about 1.5 minutes. The system will run through a bunch of tests, moving the tabs around to bring the bow down and look at the speed and everything to find out where the actual where the boat ride should be so that it's actually level. Like I said, it takes about a 1.5 minutes for that to go through, and then it'll go back, and after that it just runs in auto. You can take it out of auto and use the tabs manually if you like. It's got a couple of favorite settings so that, let's say you shift gear around so your balance is off, you can use the favorite setting to temporarily override that for a trip. But we're going to show you how this works. So we actually got a bubble gauge in the front of the boat, right? This shows we're fairly balanced right now, because obviously at slow speeds the trim tabs really don't do you a whole lot of good. But when you start coming up on plane, so the boat always wants to go to port because of the screw rotation. So usually when I'm bringing the boat up to plane, I also have to hit the tabs to bring to balance the boat. Otherwise we're up leaning to port pretty heavily. I'm not going to touch the tabs at all when I do this. I'm just going to put the throttles down, the boat's going to come up on plane, and the auto glide is going to correct the port and starboard balance automatically, and it's going to correct the tabs to bring the bow down so that I can see over the bow pretty easily. That's the imbalance of pitch and roll toward your starboard lift. Get that a little bit. Green light means it's in the center. Perfect. Common question people ask was, when you turn the boat, does it fight you and try and level? Let's go ahead and do that. Because it's hooked into the NEMA 2000, it knows the direction of the boat, so it knows not to fight the turn and actually lean into the turn. Back to level again.
Nice green light right in the center.
That's how the auto glide works. Here we're at. We're underway. Water is actually gorgeous. Take a look out there. It's all flat. We're actually coming down Saratoga Passage. Got the auto glide going. Watch right there. But then on the screen, right over here, adjusted based on position. So if I move to the other side of the boat, adjust it so it leans a little bit. And then it just automatically figures it out. Alright, so let's go play with the AutoGlide. So right now, the boat's level. I know that because I have a level gauge. And I can look there, and it's centered. So you think of like a marble on this, where the marble may move to the left, which means it's got to go to the right. Same with forward, back, and you can see how it'll tap the flaps up or down, and it does them in opposite corners, just little short bursts. Just trying to maintain balance. Back here, you can see how fairly level it is. Of course, I'm standing center line. I move over to this side, the boat wants to lean, and the trim tab will take a couple of seconds, and the boat will pump right back up on level. Or, I move to the other side, as my son loves to do all the time. Now the boat leans to this side, and the boat levels itself back out again. There it is. All automatic. I don't touch the trim tabs at all.
So what did you think of the LENCO AUTOGLIDE?
I think I got about 10 miles on it, but so far so good. So when I would come up on plane, it actually felt like the boat planed out faster, and the miles per gallon seems to be better than before, but too early to tell.
Is it supposed to affect the miles per gallon?
The write-up says it will. Although the reviews and stuff are questionable whether it actually does. The one thing that it actually might help on fuel is on your takeoff. If you plane out faster, that's usually where you burn the most amount of fuel. And I do think it helps on that, because when you hit the throttles, the AutoGlide knows that you're accelerating, so it's going to lower both tabs as you're coming up to help bring the bow down, which helps the boat get up on plane quicker. Mm-hmm. And it did feel like it got up on plane quicker and smoother doing that. And usually whenever I'd go and put it up on plane, the boat always wants to lean to port heavily, and then I have to balance the tabs to level out. It did all that by itself. I just hit the throttles, adjusted the engine trim, and I didn't touch the tabs at all, and it brought the bow down and leveled the boat port to starboard, all while we were coming up on plane. And that was nice. And then as changing conditions, it's adjusting the tabs, as necessary. If we move around the boat, right, it'll adjust them. It's not instant, right? I mean, it has to see, okay, we're out of balance, then it has to tap the tabs, and you can see on the...
Yeah, but it's within 5 seconds.
Yeah, it's relatively quick, but it's not instantaneous.
No.
But watching the tabs, it does interesting things, like it'll tap, the bow on the starboard side, it'll tap that to bring the bow down, while taking the port side to bring it up, to speed up the tilt of the boat one way or the other, or go the opposite direction, which I thought was kind of cool. Mm-hmm. So looking
but it was pretty straightforward putting it in.
Installation was actually a breeze. Yeah, there wasn't any 4-letter words on the installation. The worst part, I'd say, is actually taking the seat off, just because there's like a dozen screws and they're about that long. For the seat, and then pull the seat straight up. But then
that was the easiest way to install it.
Yeah, because then there's a big hole in the top, and I can look right on top. And fishing behind the helm and stuff, chasing the cables wasn't all that complicated. All the cables fit. I didn't have to stretch any cables, which was good. They're all quick disconnects. The only crimp I had to do was on the ignition wire. It's a little snap-in connector for that, but yeah, other than that, fairly straightforward. NEMA 2000 bus, I had to adjust that because with the normal spacers, those NEMA 2000 connectors, you run out of space. So I went and bought a 4-position, NEMA connector that shortens the space so that I could get more things plugged in. Because we've added the AIS, which needs connection to the NEMA 2000 bus. We also added the what was it? Yeah, AIS is the one that I had to add to NEMA.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, and that's all the extra space I had when you're doing single NEMA connections and you plug them all together to make a common bus, and it gets kind of long. But other than that, fairly straightforward, easy install. I want to say I probably spent 3 or 4 hours on it to put it all in.
Now, if you made it this far and you're thinking, where's the install? Here it is. Enjoy. Anything I can do to help?
I thought I bought this bracket because I definitely would have needed it.
Showing all the tools that you have for this little job. Don't forget that down there. Try to get these up neat and out of the way. What I will say about the LENCO AUTOGLIDE system is when you're riding in choppy seas, it feels a lot smoother, more comfortable. Martin's not always trying to adjust every time somebody gets up, moves around, switch seats. It is a very smooth ride. Again, thanks for watching. Don't forget to like the video, subscribe to our channel, and hit the bell for notifications so you get notified whenever I post a new video. Until next time, stay tuned for more channel surfing.